Hey Bob, I just read that the government has finally decided to address the budget deficit.
Well, yes, there's a bipartisan committee of 18 people who put together a plan to make sure the United States doesn't go bankrupt.
Are you suggesting the United States is the MC Hammer of the civilized world?
No, it's just that we have $14 trillion in debt and borrow another $1.5 trillion each year.
So what's the plan? To start manufacturing t-shirts again and pay everyone back?
It's not that cut and dry. I mean, the government owes $5 trillion to the Social Security and Medicare trust funds because Congress spent that money and replaced it with an IOU.
That sounds like embezzlement.
But of the legal variety. The other $9 trillion is owed to the public, half of which is represented by foreign interests, and the Debt Reduction Commission is trying to pay down that debt.
And how's that working out?
Well, 43% of the budget is entitlement spending, another 20% is the military, 6% is just the interest on our debt, and 18% is federal pensions and food stamps.
Wow, that's 87% of the budget.
That nobody wants to cut.
Back the truck up. All summer long I see these baby boomers protesting government spending and demanding fiscal responsibility. What was that, Woodstock?
The commission proposed meaningful cuts, but it turns out that nobody wants to make any sacrifices.
Can't we just put a magnetic ribbon on our cars that say, "I support the budget cuts"?
Unfortunately, even if Congress completely eliminates the other 13% of the budget, we'd still have a $1 trillion budget deficit.
What are Tea Party activists willing to give up?
Well, 48% of the Tea Party households receive Social Security, so cutting entitlements won't be very popular.
Isn't lowering the corporate tax rate to 26% a compromise?
The Americans for Tax Reform don't want to eliminate the corporate tax loopholes.
The spending cap on Medicare expenses?
You know how when you're late for drinks and your friends call to see where you are, and you tell them you're 15 minutes away, even though you just left the house.
Yes.
Well, that's how spending caps work. They don't.
The unions.
They think it's an affront to the working class to pay for health care.
Raising the Social Security eligibility age.
AARP.
Reducing mortgage deductions.
The Mortgage Bankers Association.
State and local workers.
They 10% of the labor force. Good luck with that.
Cutting the military budget.
The Trade Group for Defense Contractors.
The Democrats.
They want to cut taxes for the wealthy and blame it on the GOP.
And the Republicans?
They want to spend tons of money and blame it on the Democrats.
What in the hell is going on?
Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
So how did the deficit get so large?
Well, much of it is because of the recession. Remember, Social Security taxes are 43% of the government revenue, individual taxes are another 40%, and now 14% of Americans are on food stamps, while 20% need Medicaid.
What about the rest of it?
The Medicare prescription bill will cost another $1 trillion over the next 10 years. The stimulus package was $814 billion. We're still paying for the wars. I'm afraid to ask about the healthcare bill, and the middle-class tax cuts would add another $3 trillion if they made permanent.
You mean the tax breaks for people making over $250,000 a year?
No, that'll cost $700 billion. The middle-class tax cuts will cost $3 trillion, on top of the $200 billion of tax cuts that were in the stimulus bill. But that's okay because tax cuts spark economic growth and create jobs.
What was I thinking? All those available jobs floating around.
Everywhere you turn, there's a well-paying job just staring you in the face.
Look, there is no such thing as a tax cut. If the federal government cuts your income taxes, the state raises your property taxes. If the state doesn't get it, there's a fee on the cable bill or the cell phone bill or when you buy liquor, or cigarettes, or rent a car, or a hotel room, or fly on an airline, or drive through a toll, or register your car, or drive past those damn cameras that take a picture of your car when you speed.
Those bastards.
Why can't we just tax the rich?
The top 10% already pay 70% of the taxes.
Before I married my ex-husband, my father asked me to multiply 0 times 0. Then 5 times 0. Then 20 times 0.
And
He finally said, anything times 0 will always be 0, and there's nothing you can do to help that good-for-nothing man.
so what's your point?
That Americans are full of crap.
What?
For the last year and a half, all we heard were people who wanted the government to get its hands off their health care, even though they get Medicare benefits, which are subsidized by, well, the government.
Indeed.
Other people want to serve New York strip steaks at food shelters and give homeless people a Section 8 penthouse apartment.
Nobody ever shoots Santa Claus.
I guess not. 2/3 of U.S. corporations, including General Electric, pay nothing in federal income taxes.
They have politicians to pay for.
And why do we have to spend 5 times as much money on the military as China?
We have to protect the country against terrorists.
With nuclear submarines, is Aquaman our mortal enemy now?
Well, we have to do something. In 10 years, 92 cents of every dollar of government revenue will pay for entitlement benefits and the interest on our debt.
Who's gonna pay for this mess?
People who believe everything they told and then complain about it after they get screwed.
Why do you hate America?
The thing is, wealth never disappears, it just shifts. Somebody will always make money in any environment.
How do you keep a positive spirit in the face of so much bad news?
I read Ivory Johnson's column on Examiner.com.
Who?
Examiner.com for Washington, D.C., written by Ivory Johnson.